You're listening to Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. Yes, it's challenging. It's a charm offensive here on our 20th anniversary show. John Ross is on the line.
That would be 20th show, not 20th anniversary show.
No, it is. It's a 20th anniversary. It's the anniversary of us doing this show.
It is. What did you get me for our 20th anniversary?
What did I get you? This harmonica. I'll mail it to you.
I was thinking that sounded like a very out-of-tune banjo. I don't know what happened to the official theme song instrument of Trigger Warnings. I wasn't sure.
It's also in the vehicle that I talk to you now from, and there is no distracted driving going on. I am not using any handheld devices more than a cup of coffee here for this
That's amazing.
mobile
I would kinda
program. That's right.
Yeah, I would like to see how this is set up. Actually. Perhaps you should post a picture.
Perhaps
Why
I
don't you
will.
tell-
I will
why
tweet
don't-
out a picture.
Yeah, why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell our vast listening audience where you are where you are on the road?
I'm on the ribbon of highway, the great American ribbon of highway. Yesterday I was in Palma, Texas. Palma, Texas. Of what
They
significance?
couldn't afford a second palm.
No. Do you know what Palma, Texas is known for?
Is it the home of Brian De Palma?
Not Brian De Palma, no. No, somebody's parents moved them from Oklahoma to Palma, Texas when they were a child. And this person worked in a drugstore in Palma, Texas in the early 1930s and learned what? What did this person learn in the drugstore in the 1930s?
How to convert anything into the name Walmart?
No. How to play the guitar.
Oh.
So this person would leave Palma, Texas with a pocket full of the Dust Bowl and songs about it.
How was it? Was it Woody Guthrie?
It was Woody Guthrie. That's right.
Wow.
So I found Woody Guthrie's boyhood drugstore where he worked and learned to play the guitar. And now I continue eastward. I crossed the mighty Mississippi and I'm headed to Music City, USA. Me and my harmonica.
That is fantastic. This is like, I feel like we should change the theme song, or we should adopt as a theme song Johnny Cash's "I've Been Everywhere," because we have both been on the road. Although you're literally traveling from place to place, I've just been in the car a couple times. Don't you think?
Right, no, absolutely. I don't think sitting in a Prius in Chicago traffic is comparable to where I am and what I'm doing now. I'm visiting family while in the Nashville area, and then I was planning on heading back west on Wednesday morning, but guess who is going to be in Nashville on Wednesday?
Wait, is Bob Dylan going to be there?
Who?
The reigning Nobel laureate?
That's right. Don Cheeto himself will be present and accounted for at his own rally.
No. No, I said Nobel laureate Bob Dylan, and you somehow converted it to Don Cheeto. But very nice.
Well, that's the difficulty of the headphones I'm wearing. So please clarify via your vocal
Are you
cords,
going
but-
to hang out? Are you going to hang out in Nashville to hear him talk about how he's been wiretapped by Paul Ryan or whoever, Bernie Sanders or whoever is stifling his health care plan?
I think I'm going to stand around outside and play this harmonica. It depending on the mood, a harmonica can be very versatile. It can be very, very sad, or it can be very jubilant and goofy. No, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to allow Don Cheeto to dictate my travel plans, I was kind of interested in checking out northern Arkansas on my way back to the high desert for the final round of high desert before the grand finale. This will not be the last Trigger Warnings program recorded in my Subaru. John, does your car have a name?
That's a good point. I have not given it a name. Although I think it's a she.
Yeah,
But
most cars are a she. I think it's important. I've known some great cars with great names. My Buick was named Stosh after my grandfather. I knew a red 1980s Saab called Samantha Honey Saab. That's probably the greatest car name. This one is named after its original maker's name. It's an Outback LL Bean. The LL stands for either Lady Liberty or Lipstick Lesbian, depending on the area of the country you are in.
I once had a car that was a DX. I think it was a Toyota DX, and I called her Dixie.
And you wouldn't sing the song "I Wish I Was in Dixie" when you weren't in your car, did you? That might be misconstrued.
I was not that attached to Dixie that I
Who
was.
are you, Jeff Sessions?
I were inside her when I was.
Oh,
No.
you were? All right, look. Today's topic here on Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk Radio, John has proposed that we speak of healthcare. And I leave us on that precipice.
I don't know. I think ketchup may be more interesting, although we can catch up on healthcare too.
Oh, I've got today's quiz is covered in ketchup. Get ready.
Should we begin with the quiz?
No. The program wraps up. The program wraps up with the quiz, and that way it always ends on a high note. It's like when Robin does the news. No matter what else happens, you know it's going to end there.
I see. I sent you two articles.
Let's start with the Washington Post. Appears to me they sent a reporter to West Virginia, and the person hung out and talked to everybody receiving, not everybody, but a number of people receiving health care at a given clinic in a certain county.
At a community clinic in the poorest county in West Virginia, one that has lost 60% of its population over the last couple of decades, and one that where, according to the writer, the just about everybody in that clinic is connected in one way or another to the Affordable Care Act, and the county voted 74% for president, which actually is for Trump, which actually is pretty much in line with the state's vote. So, of course, alongside the other article I sent you, an analysis from the Cooperative Congressional Election Study and the Kaiser Family Foundation, of course, people like that, the people who would face the worst under the new Trump care or whatever it's going to be called, rural, working class, lower educated, underemployed or unemployed, of course they're going to do the worst from in comparing in terms of subsidy, insurance, et cetera, out of pocket, from Affordable Care Act to Trump care. And of course, these counties, these people had the highest vote. They voted overwhelmingly for Trump, something like 56 to 39, something like that. And this is something that we've been teasing on this in many of these 20 programs, that we'll really see what this looks like to the new administration and the people it won over in the election when these real policies come out, because this is very appropriate language for what you're doing. This is where the rubber meets the road. And thus far, it looks like the rubber has hit these people smack in the face. and the story from the folks in the clinic in West Virginia is exactly what you'd expect. People, out of shape, poor health, poor nutrition, multifaceted health problems, and many of them, or according to the article, just about everyone in that clinic on that day has health insurance connected one way or another to the Affordable Care Act, either subsidies or Medicaid expansion or preventive care that they didn't have before, et cetera. And so, this is hardly a surprise, but it does seem strange that, maybe this is because it didn't come out of the White House. Maybe that's why it isn't that strict, because this plan did not come from the White House. It was hidden under lock and key. Rand Paul famously couldn't see it. He looked for it, he couldn't get it, and now they kind of did the extreme version of what they accused the Democrats of doing in 2009, which was rolling it out and ramming it down people's throats. I mean, but the Democrats at least had it out, and it took a year for them to build a coalition and get the votes to do it. So this is hardly a surprise. What say you, sir?
I say the Washington Post. I mean, it was. I don't want to say it was a biased article, but it was certainly geared to. I mean, these people were there before, right? They were there before.
They were there before because they've been on healthcare, many of them since 2010, when the law went into effect. Yes.
Right. So since 2010, they've got an impression that the government is providing them medical services, and now we're finding out that those services may be revoked, and it's a may.
I think many of them don't. If they're indicative of other parts of the country, they don't even realize that the government-sponsored health care they're getting is part of the Affordable Care Act. They don't realize that many people, not just people in West Virginia, that the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare are one and the same. And that's not dissing anybody in particular. That there have been a lot of studies that have shown that people don't realize that the two are the same thing. But
to differentiate between Obamacare and the Medicaid expansion, can you elaborate on that? Because the article drew.
Yeah, the Medicaid expansion in 31 states is how, under the Affordable Care Act, many of those 20+ million new enrollees are getting health care. So, yeah, in any state that expanded Medicare since 2010, and there are 31 of them, that is a piece of the Affordable Care Act. It's a federal part because part of the Affordable Care Act, the federal government was essentially paying states to expand Medicare, to expand Medicaid. And some of the states that expanded Medicaid, like Ohio, for example, under Governor Kasich, are run by Republicans. And in fact, it's the senators from those states, including Ohio's Republican senator, who are balking the loudest because they have millions and millions of constituents who have health care now because their governors and legislatures decided to go to adopt Obamacare and take billions of $3 from the federal government to do so. And under the Republican plan, quite likely, many of those people will lose coverage. One estimate has that Ohio, under the Republican proposal, could lose up to 1 million enrollees.
Pause for 1 second. I want to make sure this recorder is a larger philosophical question about the government's role in providing its citizens access to health care and or access to affordable health insurance and or access to medical care. And I'm wondering if between those three choices, and maybe there's more than three, do you think it will become a matter of states' rights?
Well, to a certain extent, it has been a matter of states' rights under Affordable Care Act because most states have had Republican governors and legislatures since 2010. It essentially has been up to many states to expand services through Medicaid expansion and taking the money from the federal government. Some have not, which means they have had to send people to the exchanges or set up their own exchange. But clearly, it has been a state's right. It's been a state choice, certainly. And the thing is that if you look at the studies and if you look at the people who really looked at these policies, the people who are for whom Obamacare is most designed to benefit are poorer, less educated, largely white people in red states or red congressional districts. And the simple reason is economic. People who are already poor are already on Medicaid or some form of public aid for the most part, and the people who are not too poor, or people who are working poor, either work in markets where they don't have mandated benefits or where they don't make enough money to receive benefits, or companies are not required to provide benefits. They make too much for Medicaid, et cetera. And that's essentially where a lot of the Affordable Care Act resources went, which is to expanding Medicaid to the working poor and lower middle class people who otherwise would not have any access to buy insurance. And the Republicans have made clear, and I don't know if they really believe this, they've made clear this week since this secret bill was unveiled that they don't really care as much about access or how many people are covered as much as they care about whether people can afford to see their doctor, to pay for a doctor. And I think that's a very reasonable element of policy. The budget director, Mulvaney, has said that. Now, I don't know whether that's thin or something else. I mean, that's certainly a reasonable component. But the reality here, if you believe what studies, some research is suggesting, and if you believe what every hospital organization in the country, every doctors group in the country, the AARP is saying that this will be a disaster. In fact, the group under this proposal that looks to be in the worst shape is the folks in those kind of pre-Medicare years in their 50s and 60s who are, who don't have enough income, don't make enough money, afford decent insurance. That's the demographic that will get hit the worst. And you can join AARP when you're 50. So AARP is really on the bandwagon against this. So that's a fairly significant coalition of not just powerful groups, but of who really represent folks who are, in that, in the benefit groups that are against us. So I have no idea how they're going to get this through with that much opposition.
The Washington Post article was a challenge in a lot of ways, and I believe the journalism that is that on point. Can you tell me who wrote it and when it was published so people can track it down?
So it was today's paper, and
John's got a copy. If you need it, get a hold of him. No, who wrote it? Washington Post?
I'm sorry,
I don't have it either.
I have to find that because I sent that to you on the text message, and so
we have both read it, but I want to give the author credit. As John finds the, the author's name, I want to draw attention to the fact that it is, that piece of journalism did take a specific population and try to draw more generalized conclusions about that population, which doesn't help larger national arguments. However, why did they choose that place in West Virginia It's because that place in West Virginia not only has significant problems with public health and understanding public health, but also voted for Trump in a huge way.
Yes, and that is why Jessica Contrera, that is the author, the writer, that's why she went there, because it's not just that it's a Trump area. This is kind of the heart of Appalachia. This is the heart of the working white class, of the working class, poor working class that has moved from Democrats to Trump. So I mean, it is indicative, and in fact, just some statistics that come out of this. This is from the Tug River Health Association, which is the area in Appalachia that in West Virginia, McDowell County, West Virginia, is survey. The number of visits to this nonprofit health clinic, Tug River Health Association, 8,700 patients, 20,000 visits a year to 5 clinics. 60% of those were Medicaid patients, more than double from 3 years ago. So these are overwhelmingly Affordable Care Act patients under expanded Medicaid. And these, in fact, are people who could not get insurance, who could not afford insurance before the expansion of the Affordable Care Act. So again, this is not raving about that the ACA is the greatest thing ever. It's speaking to that there are real practical issues and problems tied to people who are at the heart of the Trump coalition.
I feel like a facetious asshole for continuing to believe or even assert that the GOP would have a plan for these people. The article is a tearjerker. I mean, you've got case after case of folks that either don't understand how to take care of their own bodies or need medical assistance to be able to take care of their own bodies. And it's plain as day, these people are going to lose coverage if one of the many plans that are being floated by the GOP, if one of those plans takes off, then these people will no longer have the assistance that they've appeared to require. What's going to happen? What do they think is going to happen to these people?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not. Again, this is. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that that Paul Ryan and the people who put this together are cold, heartless people. I mean, there is a philosophical component to what the Republican view on health care. That there are just certain things that the government should not be doing, that free markets work. Clearly, they could work better, and clearly we can criticize inside and out that that the Obama administration could have done other things better around this law, including more competition in insurance markets or avoiding insurers altogether. I mean, you could argue a lot of things. There was clearly a philosophical component to this for Republicans that they don't like, many of them don't like that health care for people beyond the least safe of those in the safety net should be an entitlement. I mean, I think that is philosophically where a lot of this issue is for them. And I think this policy effort, is the product of trying to straddle, in wishbone fashion, a very wide chasm between keeping the law the way it is, just repealing it and doing nothing, and trying to act on things that are philosophically not kosher to them.
Well, you remember in one of the very early Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk radio programs, I asked you, how will Trump, if he wins, how will his presidency redefine mental health? We won't be able to say crazy in the same way, because crazy will mean something different, because somebody that we used to call crazy has won the presidency, that's going to work in a different fashion, but we're going to redefine crazy, we're going to redefine sick. We're going to redefine illness as necessary to receive it from a medical professional. And there's no money to be made in most of the country staying home and looking up their symptoms on WebMD. But maybe the plan is to focus on the half or quarter or 15 or 10% of the country that can afford medical treatment. I don't know. I'd hate to think there's something that much larger and that much more nefarious at foot. But it sure does look like mixed messages from the ruling party. That's difficult for me to understand.
Well, again, you wonder if, and this is, you realize that politicians make campaign promises that are often, modified when it comes time to govern. But my sense is that, there are a couple of conflicting things going on here, irrespective of all the dishonesty and lies and all that stuff that are coming out of the president and the administration. Part of what Steve Bannon calls the administrative deconstruction of government, that is the fundamental philosophical aspect of what they're doing, or what they want to do. The result of that is that you have an understaffed government. You have hundreds and hundreds of people who need to be appointed and confirmed by the Senate who've been neither appointed nor confirmed. And as a result, it's pretty thin in the pieces of government, many government agencies where stuff like this is done, policy is developed. My sense is that if the Trump administration weren't so keen on breaking down the administration of government as it exists, and had actually developed these policies like it was presumably promising, I wonder if they would be different than if they had come from Paul Ryan. Because you would think that they would have been more attentive to what the president said when he was running, that everybody will be insured, nobody will be on the street, it'll be cheaper, it'll be better, it'll be high quality. You just wonder, this is what happens when you essentially outsource the work of people in political policy roles within the executive branch and let ideologues in Congress do their work. This could very well be a byproduct of that.
That's why the conflict appears in the way that it does.
Well, I don't know. It could be. I think that's one element. I mean, they clearly are understaffed in the White House, in government agencies, in HHS. Tom Price, who runs the agency, clearly knows healthcare policy. But when you come in with a mission to, blow up government and what it does, and you leave 900 some political appointments unfilled and unconfirmed. Stuff like this happens. I mean, it's why you have leaks in this government, that they just don't have people in the positions who can manage what's going on in some of these agencies, and be advocates for what's going on there. So I think there's a lot going on here, and it's not a surprise, but it is unfortunate when you realize that there were promises made to folks, and a lot of them in places like West Virginia and Kentucky and Appalachia and Ohio and in places like that, and in the upper Midwest, Michigan, Wisconsin, white working class folks who are in states that all expanded Affordable Care Act and Medicaid to accommodate more and more millions of people. They were expecting something, and if they're paying attention, this isn't doing it for them.
The consolidation of wealth in this country plays into what new healthcare policy is going to look like. Post-Obamacare, ACA, Trump Care. the very, very rich are going to have a say in what healthcare looks like. And until I can take a better guess as to what their intentions are, I mean, it's got to be to make money. It's not everybody stay home, good luck. Home remedies, WebMD, it's not going to be that. And it's not going to be cash. I don't know. I really don't know. And the fact that Paul Ryan doesn't really seem to know, or, I mean, he's got his plan, Trump's got a different plan, or are they chatting it up closed door
Trump
style?
has no plan.
Right, there
Trump
you go.
has no plan. He's going on the road to sell this, but it's not his plan.
Oh, I'm already on the road, and I can tell you what sells, and that's nothing. That's nothing. I've seen signs for 100% gasoline. How you like that? Why would they be advertising that, John?
Wow. Well, I'm sure it's American-made gasoline.
It's ethanol. It's the clog your engine ethanol, yes. And I've seen something that was advertised as world famous. And my gut almost said, stop, check that out. That looks cool. And I'm like, no, dude, it's just the words world famous. Other than that, nothing sells on the Great American Road anymore, really. You bring it along yourself. BYO. Oh, man.
I mean, you know, the other, I mean, it's, you know, it's possible. Again, this is very interesting that Trump, who has absolutely no apparent political philosophy and is new to being a Republican, you would think that he would be, at least again, as he's learning politics, that he would say, you know, this would be a good way to partner with Democrats and get them on board, because there's certainly elements of this plan that Democrats would like, and let's make friends and whatever. And he has no intent of doing that. I mean, he didn't develop policy. He didn't, he was promising that he'd develop policy, and then Tom Price at his confirmation hearing said, no, he hasn't reached out to me. I haven't seen anything imminent coming down. It's just kind of empty nothing. There's just nothing there. And maybe at some point the people will realize that the emperor has no clothes and demand that he get some. I don't know, but I think it's unfortunate, because it doesn't matter how people vote or for whom they vote. There clearly are people who are suffering. You know, one of the things that this clinic in West Virginia treats, hardly a surprise, and I sound like a broken record, is opioid abuse. Because that is what rural, small-town America, white, working-class, rural, small-town, post-industrial, decaying industrial-based America looks like increasingly is opioid. We talked about this last week. It's depressing. Can we talk about ketchup?
And also the woman that I have to mention, it's incredibly depressing. But here on Trigger Warnings, we don't hold back. I believe that Trump's America requires Americans to have a strong stomach. Literally, a strong stomach. You need to be able to take these things on. John, the Washington Post article really, literally gave me an upset stomach. You want to talk about healthcare. And I needed the sense...
Well, at least it didn't give you black lung.
That's right. Well, I needed the sense about myself to understand that I was reading sensitive material that was having a physical effect on my body. The article talks about one woman that went to the doctor because she thought her nostrils were on fire. They were burning.
Yep.
And she's dehydrated. She needs a humidifier. She doesn't know what that is. She doesn't know what that is.
Upset, and she's upset to find out that it's not provided by her healthcare.
Right, she's going to have to go buy one. But I mean, who knows who billed what for the doctor's appointment? That's a huge amount of money for the woman to find out she needs a humidifier. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. I am in favor of socialized medicine. On a principle, I believe that we need to start talking about it. I don't want the government to buy anybody insurance for anything. I want government-run hospitals. I want it to look ugly, and then it will start to look better. The system will start to work within, 2 or 3 generations. But right now, the Washington Post told John and me this morning, I'm not sure how much worse it can get, besides everybody in that article not having anywhere else to go. I really don't. That's the only step down. I really appreciated the doctor. She worked hard to get where she was.
She's not even a doctor. She is the
nurse practitioner with a master's.
Right.
Yes.
Right. She's the daughter of the preacher and a preacher/coal miner who got pregnant at 18 and said, "Wow, I gotta figure out a way to support this child." And
what do you say? What do you say to socialized medicine?
Well, we have socialized medicine. Medicare isn't even socialized medicine. It's Marxist medicine. You can't not accept Medicare because if you're old, because nobody will see you. I mean, I guess you can have out of pocket or additional, co-insurance or add-on insurance for certain deluxe care, but
no insurance. A world without insurance. If you're sick, go to the doctor. If you're not sick, don't go to the doctor. You trust your neighbor to do so. Your neighbor trusts you to not abuse the system. And because we don't abuse the system runs far more efficiently than it has in the 20th century. Yes?
There's a very interesting, to that point, there's a very interesting radio ad I've heard in recent weeks, and I forget the name of it, but it's a Christian-based kind of a co-op. And what they do is
an insurance co-op.
They pitch in, well, it's not really an insurance co-op, but it is a co-op of some sort, so that if you're in this group and you have medical problems and you can't afford to pay for them, the group kind of pitches in for you, and people, they either cash or in kind help you out. And I thought that's an interesting faith-based model that is consistent with a lot of things that we've done.
Yeah, I know that I've heard the same ad, and I believe that they make clear, because you are participating in this system of healthcare, you can be sure that your money is not going towards procedures you would disagree with on moral principle. And I wonder if those kind of healthcare co-ops, I wonder if that one exists because of its faith-based origin. I wonder if you can have one that's not faith-based. I don't know. It's kind of wild.
What they say, they make clear in the ad is that this is not an insurance plan, which means it's not, you can be on an insurance plan, government, employer, what have you, and it's fine. We kind of cover these extra things. We cover good neighbor policies, so to speak. And, that's fine. That's good. I don't really understand why we need these intermediaries called insurance companies, because they do nothing to add to care. They do not see patients. They do not have relationships with patients. They don't have stethoscopes or tongue depressors or surgical instruments. They just are intermediaries.
Wow. Well, there we go. I think we solved it. I'm glad we're in consensus.
The internet through the free market disintermediated years and years and years after the early days. It has disintermediated so that you don't have to go through a third party to buy your e-commerce, whether it's Amazon or whatever. You just buy directly. You don't rely on somebody to intermediate for you to make a purchase or get anything on through the internet. The internet, through the free market and open platforms, disintermediated not long after it got started as a result of how e-commerce needed to be synthesized and streamlined. Healthcare has not done it because the insurance companies traditionally and now enforced have a significant amount of power, and they make a lot of money off of it.
Wow, I like I like the term disintermediated. And it really makes me wonder, to what extent are health insurance companies, not hospitals, not doctors, not nurses, not healthcare professionals, but health insurance companies are a product of the 20th century greed is good, Gordon Gekko philosophy. They simply intermediate. And John is proposing the disintermediation of...
That's all they do. That's all they do. Well, I mean, the history of
insurance companies
is Blue Cross. Blue Cross was not so much an insurance company as it was, and Blue Cross was congressionally chartered as a kind of an insurer or a provider of last resort. So for many, many years, when I was growing up, for example, in the 1960s and 1970s, people didn't talk about health insurance. They talked about Blue Cross, because Blue Cross was it. Blue Cross was a nonprofit. Blue Cross was congressionally chartered. Blue Cross was comprehensive. Blue Cross was the gold standard. And that was it. And then we freed up, or others came into the health insurance market, and it became competitive. And Blue Cross is no longer nonprofit. Blue Cross is a bunch of corporations and partnerships that are now all based at the state level, and they, they still have monopolies in many, many markets, but it's very different. So, the idea of an insurance company as an entity that makes money, that has a profit motive and a profit margin as an intermediary between you and your doctor, you and your hospital, you and your nurse, you and your therapist, you and whomever, is part of, I guess, the complexity of the healthcare system, and the need for bureaucracies, public and private, to manage bureaucracy, I guess. But that's not the history of Blue Cross. Blue Cross's history is pure and very deep and charitable in many, many ways. It is no longer.
What year was that shift? Do you know?
Well, it wasn't a year. I mean, it happened as we broadened. Our care. I guess the original health networks came through. I believe it was Levi Strauss and those folks who were having operations in a very an increasingly wide geographic area, and they realized, well, just having somebody come into an infirmary when he gets sick or when he gets hit by a railroad car while we're building railroads, that doesn't make sense. So they went about having preventive care and networks and corporate health care, for lack of a better term. So all these things have just kind of expanded, but clearly the idea of that there is no, in terms of payment, there is really no, you do not have a direct connection to your doctor or your hospital, and that it's the other thing, that we have no transparency in cost. What other industry, what other sector exists that if you are considering getting a procedure or buying a service, that you can't look up online or call up and say, what exactly is it going to cost me for this service? Healthcare doesn't have it, because every single procedure is negotiated by insurance, by the intermediary with the provider. So they can't and won't tell you, your hospital or your doctor, what it will cost to have a hernia surgery or a vasectomy or anything else. It's all up to the insurance company. And whether it's deemed to be elective or mandatory, and whether you can get it paid for, whether you can get certain kinds of anesthesia. Let's say you need to get a colonoscopy, which is a very common preventive test that is necessary for people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond every 5 years. If you don't have a certain level of insurance and you got to get a colonoscopy, you don't know that you can be anesthetized so you're asleep during that procedure rather than just being locally anesthetized. It makes a big difference, but a lot of that is the product of what kind of insurance you have and what your provider / insurer will tell you up front you are entitled to or you should ask for. And it's, this is because your doctor can't say, oh, sure, just ask, I'll put you out, and it'll be the same price. I don't know what it costs. You can't really do that because the insurer looks at that procedure and says, well, did you really need a general anesthetic? A local is so much cheaper. And, you're on an HMO. We might not want to pay for that part, so we negotiate in the end what it costs. We negotiate the price after it happens. I don't know what that is. That's not capitalism. I don't know what it is. But it's an ism that I'm neither familiar with nor happy with.
I know that whenever I went to Atlantic City, I kind of lost... one of the first things to go is your self-preservation ethic. If you're really going to do the town right, you gamble, you indulge, you eat, there's buffets, there's all 7 deadly sins. And here in Trump's America, I can't help but think of Atlantic City as, well, are we headed, is that what they vision? No, that's not compassionate conservatism. All right, well, look, nothing is more fun than healthcare policy, except...
Oh, it's fun. Except ketchup.
Except for my quiz. And here we go with today's trigger warning quiz. Challenging Talk Radio, show number 20, our 20th anniversary, the anniversary of posting these to YouTube. All right. Many of these are from this week, John, so be prepared. What word? This one is not. The first one. What word did the Merriam-Webster Dictionary tweet the definition of to Kellyanne Conway after her awkward misuse of it? Was it A, socialism, B, feminism, C, democracy, or D, militia?
Wow, that's fantastic. That is such a great question.
We're starting easy.
Because I don't know the answer to it. Let's see. Feminism, democracy, militia, or...
Socialism.
Socialism. Well, it certainly wasn't ethics. I'm going to say that it is socialism.
No, it's feminism. Yes,
Really? Wow.
Kellyanne Conway used the word feminism awkwardly to an extent that it prompted the Merriam-Webster Dictionary to tweet at her their definition of the word feminism. All right,
Wow.
I know. Question 2. According to the Sun newspaper, how many U.S. personnel are involved in this past week's military actions in South Korea following North Korea's continued provocation? Is it A, 5,000, B, 10,000, C, 15,000, or D, fake news?
Well, we have more than 50,000.
No, how many deployed this week? Newly deployed this week to South Korea following...
Fake news. It's
No.
fake news.
According to the Sun, 15,000.
15. Wow.
According to the Sun. Question 3.
I'm doing really well.
I know.
You know what? I'm thinking everything has something to do with ketchup.
Here comes the
And I'm waiting
ketchup.
for
Get
ketchup.
ready.
I'm ready for ketchup. I need to catch up. Yes.
According to a report published in a local newspaper, a couple, husband and wife, faked a murder scene and, quote, disseminated photographs, quote, of the staged seen, probably via social media. They used ketchup as fake blood. Where did this take place? Was it A, Sandusky, Ohio, B, Bloomfield, Arkansas, C, the home of American Carnage, Chicago, Illinois, or D, Radnor, Pennsylvania?
Oh, see, you're hanging the Radnor one out there because it's in our backyard.
That's right. Main line, man.
I'm going with Radnor, Pennsylvania.
Well, I know why you are, and that's because you're thinking ketchup and the brain goes to only one brand. Right?
Well, that's true. Heinz being
And then that leads your brain to say, well, ketchup, Pennsylvania. I'm going to go with that. No, I'm sorry. It was Sandusky, Ohio. Okay.
But have I been voted off the island yet?
No, but here's your next chance. What year did the Heinz Company introduce its famous tomato ketchup? Was it A, 1908, B, 1918, C, 1890, or D, 1876?
I would say 1890.
No, 1876.
But I at least in the right neighborhood because I thought it was from the 19th century.
All right, now fast forward. In a 2004 customer satisfaction survey published in Marketing Management magazine, which of these major brands ranked highest? Was it A, Heinz, B, Kraft, C, Coca-Cola, or D, Nestle?
What year was this?
2004 customer satisfaction survey.
That's irrelevant to today. That doesn't... Heinz, because they make ketchup. It's not Nestle.
Yes, it is. It's Heinz ketchup. Good job. You got to think Bush era policy towards, and how people thought of their relationship to brands during that time. That's the challenge.
Of course, and that is exactly what I did, apparently. Yes, okay.
Okay. A March 2005 CNN report listed Sandusky, Ohio as number 8. Number 8 in the top 10 coolest small towns in America. That's CNN, March 2015. Said Sandusky is the number 8 coolest town. What was number 1? Was it A, Chappaqua, New York, B, Hope, Arkansas, C, Grand Marianas, Minnesota, or D, Bloomfield, Arkansas?
It's not Hope, Arkansas, and it's not Chappaqua.
That's
so
right.
I am going... it is Bloomfield, Arkansas.
No, it's the one I mispronounced. Grand, Marais, Minnesota.
Grand Marais. Well, that's why, because I was thinking of the Mariana Islands.
Okay, most Heinz ketchup is produced in A, Sandusky, Ohio, B, Bloomfield, Arkansas, C, Leamington, Ontario, or D, Fremont, Ohio.
I think it's Ontario.
No, they closed their Leamington plant in 2014. It is now Fremont, Ohio.
Wow.
Who wrote these lyrics? I could cry salty tears. Where have I been all these years? Little wow, tell me now, how long has this been going on? A, the non-fictional Kellyanne Conway. B, the semi-fictional Sean Spicer. C, the fictional Jack Bauer. Or D, Irving Berlin.
Irving Berlin. That one was too easy.
It is. It's way too easy. Don't fall for things that are too easy, John. Are you sure?
That is my final answer. It was Irving
No, the
Berlin.
answer's George Gershwin. You should know by now.
Yeah.
This can happen on the quiz. It can and does happen.
But in order for me to do that, I have to accuse you of being malicious.
Well, this
I
is
don't like to do
it's
that.
the trigger warnings quiz. The goal is to be triggered. So I guarantee it's going to
So
happen.
the idea is that when you give me multiple choice and the answer is none
It's
of
not
them,
one
and
of
in
them.
fact none of, and the answer none of the above is not one of the answers, you are actually deconstructing the institution of trivia.
That's right. Well, was that trivial? I would not call those Gershwin lyrics trivial.
No, they're not trivial, and
So-
especially when they were written by Irving Berlin.
No, the actual implicit thesis is educational, and it's if you know it's right, if you know what's right, stand up for it, even if you're not even provided with the right answer. Right? That's. I'd like everybody in
You're right.
Washington D.C. to.
This is the thing that I'm too. This is what it is that I am unconsciously wedded to socialism and being taken care of and knowing,
Oh, I see.
believing that the right answer is going to be there.
Right. No,
And that
a compassionate
trust the
conservative
state.
did not write this quiz, or maybe a compassionate conservative did write this quiz. Maybe I don't know. You have 4 more questions. Ready? 4 more.
So I am trusting that the state is providing me an answer that will take care of me even if I make the wrong choice. But the problem is the state is not providing me an answer. The state is, and in some cases, doing a near to me, doing a big fat raspberry. Okay, I got it. You wish to deconstruct trivia as we know it? Go right ahead.
Nothing trivial here. According
You
to
are
no. Here.
Yeah,
All trivia is miles behind me. Get ready. According to smalltowns.org, a national media nonprofit that works with communities nationwide, Sandusky, Ohio, and other towns were finalists in their 2016 Strongest Town competition. What won the 2016 Strongest Town? Was it A, San Marcos, Texas, B, Flint, Michigan, C, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, or D, Bloomfield, Arkansas? The right answer has been provided to you.
It's not, well, unless they're making a political statement and saying Flynn. It's not Sandusky because ketchup can't hold a town together.
Sandusky was not a choice.
You did say Sandusky, didn't you?
No.
You said Fairchild, Sandusky.
I said San Marcos,
Carlisle.
Texas, Flint, Michigan, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and Bloomfield, Arkansas. I said San Marcos, Texas. You heard Sandusky, Ohio.
Because you said Sandusky was considered to that by small town.
Oh, right.
USA.
Sandusky was a finalist, but it was not one of the choices presented in the question.
I am listening too well. I believe the answer is the home of Jim Thorpe. This is not Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, but Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
No, I'm sorry. It was San Marcos, Texas. All right, but 3 more. Here you go. In terms of, quote, emerging metropolitan areas in the United States, Sandusky, Ohio is currently ranked 24th, according to a list published by Sperling's Best Places. What city did they list as the number 1 emerging metropolitan area in the United States? Was it A, Bloomfield, Arkansas, B, Ithaca, New York, C, Utica, New York, or D, Athens, Georgia?
Well, Utica is part of a larger metropolitan area already. So that's not the answer. Utica, Schenectady, Albany are I believe, are already a metropolitan area. I think it was can you repeat those? It's not Fairchild, it's not Arkansas, it's
Bloomfield, Arkansas, Ithaca, New York, Utica, New York, or Athens, Georgia?
I think it's Athens, Georgia, home of REM.
Well, it is home to REM. I believe there's at least 100 miles between the Albany area and Utica. And the answer, according to Sperling's Best Places, the number 1 emerging metropolitan area in the country is Ithaca, New York.
Well, Ithaca is the same as Athens. College town, Come on, I get half credit.
Two more. Maybe you can get both of these and they add to one. I don't know, half credit. Okay. According to an August 2011 article published by Forbes magazine, what is the #1 quote, best place to live cheaply in the United States? August 2011, Forbes magazine, #1 best place to live cheaply in the United States. A, Fremont, Ohio. B, Leamington, New Hampshire. C, Sandusky, Ohio. Or D, Bloomfield, Arkansas.
I am sick of these same towns over and over. Bloomfield, Arkansas.
No.
Sandusky, Ohio.
Yes, it's Sandusky, Ohio. See, the whole thing started with the couple and the ketchup and they are in Sandusky. And regardless, Forbes, at least in 2011, called it one of the best places to live cheaply. All right, your last question.
I have got one of them right?
I think so. I think you got one right today. Bloomfield, Arkansas is A, an unincorporated town in Benton County, Arkansas. B, an incorporated town in Benton County, Arkansas of 2,600. C, a fictional town in a 1980s John Irving novel. Or D, none of the above.
Well, so Fairchild, there is a Fairfield Bay, Arkansas.
Bloomfield. You keep saying Fairfield. You're thinking Fairfield, Connecticut.
Bloomfield. Bloomfield sounds fictional to me. I highly recommend that you visit Fairfield Bay, Arkansas on your way back. It's in the northern part of Arkansas. It's near the Ozarks. It has a man-made lake. It's beautiful, beautiful area. So just because I've got Fairfield Bay, Arkansas in my mind, I'm going to say that Bloomfield, like Bloom County, is a fictional place.
Well, you know what's really wild? I started writing this quiz, and I needed fictional town names, so I made that one up. And then, as I progressed through the making of this quiz, I or whoever did it, they searched online and found that Bloomfield, Arkansas does in fact exist, and they incorporated that into this quiz. The answer is A. It is a real place, but it is an unincorporated town in Benton County, like way northwest Arkansas. So,
Thank you.
I'm not sure exactly what we accomplished with that quiz and the first half of the program, in which we both got very down about healthcare policy.
We did not accomplish as much around ketchup as I was expecting or hoping.
Well, it was just fun to text you and say the quiz has ketchup on it.
I thought that the ketchup theme was a testament to the president, who has made clear that it is his favorite condiment because he eats it with
that he would put ketchup on a steak. See, that's low. I wouldn't go there. No. You know what? We have been incredibly high-minded. I gotta say, in the last couple weeks, what's it been? Months? Years? However long the man has been in power. About 20 years. 20-year anniversary. Whatever it's been, we have not taken the low pot shots possible. So stay tuned, because next week, I think we might lose it. All right, well, this has been Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. John Ross, thank you as always.
It has been my pleasure failing miserably at the first and hopefully last ever ketchup-based quiz, including fake news answers.
Well, you're going to have to muster some courage for next week.
Oh, I relish the thought, yes.
See you next week, folks.